The world came face to face with aliens on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is May 25th, 2023. It is the 145th day of the year. There are 220 days left. Get your act together, everyone. We only got 220 days left to turn this one around. Today is the 21st Thursday in the 21st week in the 67th day of spring. You got 27 days left until summer. Today is, actually it's the whole month. It's National Barbecue Month. And it's well deserved. Everybody loves barbecue. I dream about barbecue sauce. I've told my wife to get rid of all her perfume, put a little barbecue sauce behind her ears, and I'm ready to go. And if she gets some Krispy Kreme shampoo, I may follow her around the mall like I'm in a trance. Even walk around Target with her for 4 hours. May is National Barbecue Month, and that signals the beginning of summer. No summer's really complete without barbecuing at least a handful of times, right? All right, let's see what else May 25th has given us. 1787, after a delay of 11 days, the United States Constitutional Convention formally convenes in Philadelphia after a quorum of 7 states is secured. 1865 in Mobile, Alabama, around 300 people are killed when an ordnance depot explodes. Now, I talked about this one a couple years ago, and it was the deep dive, but it is a very interesting story. I'd look it up. Wikipedia has a nice rundown on it. 1953, nuclear weapon testing. At the Nevada test site, the United States conducts the first and only nuclear artillery test. 1961, the Apollo program. President John F. Kennedy announces before a joint session of the U.S. Congress his goal to initiate a program, put a man on the moon before the end of the decade. And he does. At least the program does. He didn't make it. Now, obviously, there's been a ton of things that have been written, books, movies made, documentaries done about the whole Apollo program. If you've never seen the movie The Right Stuff, that is very accurate from what I've understood as far as movies go. The book, even more so. Very interesting time here in the United States. Very, very interesting men that were involved in the Apollo program. As you read about it, you realize that back then, you know, they hoped for the best, but there was a lot of test pilots that got in things, and the scientists were all, well, we kind of hope this works, so let's see what happens. And the test pilots did it. Brave men. You got to think, everything they were working on was theoretical in the beginning. I mean, that's how everything is, but it was like theoretical a year before, and they're going to shoot someone off into space. They really didn't know what was going to happen on a lot of these different things they did. The Apollo program started in 1961 and ended in 1975. The last flight was on December 7th, 1972. Now, there were a whole bunch of different missions where they didn't have, men on it and they were just testing things, but these were the manned missions. Apollo 1. This was probably the saddest one. All 3 of the astronauts died. It was initially supposed to go off on February 21st, 1967, but on January 27th, 1967, a fire in the command module during a launch pad test killed the crew and destroyed the module. The flight was originally designated AS-204 and was renamed Apollo 1 at the request of the crew's families. Then you had Apollo 7 on October 11th, 1968. This was the first one that was live on American television, and it was just in Earth's orbit. The next one was Apollo 8 on December 21st, 1968. This one had 10 lunar orbits in 20 hours. Apollo 9 was the first crewed test lunar module. It tested rendezvous and dockings in Earth orbit. That was on March 3rd, 1969. Apollo 10 on May 18th, 1969 was kind of a dress rehearsal for the lunar landing. Apollo 11 was on July 16th, 1969. That was the first crewed landing in the Sea of Tranquility, or Tranquility Base, including the first single-surface EVA. An EVA is actually extravehicular activity, which means the pilot or astronaut got out of the craft and walked around, or floated around in some cases. Apollo 12 went back to the moon, and they had 2 surface EVAs and 3 surveyor probes. Apollo 13 was the failed one where they were on their way to the moon and they had a problem with an oxygen tank that exploded. They had to go around the moon and come right back. 14, 15, and 16 were pretty much the same stuff, just they went different places on the moon. And Apollo 17, the last one, was the first time they had a professional geologist on the moon and the first night launch. All in all, a very interesting part of American history. 1977, Star Wars is released in theaters. It was retroactively entitled Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. There's a lot that goes into it, and we talked about it last year, but really George Lucas didn't think it was going to do that well. A lot of people didn't think it was going to do good, and look at it to this day. 1978, the first of a series of bombings orchestrated by the Unabomber detonates at Northwestern University, resulting in minor injuries. 1999, the United States House of Representatives releases the Cox Report, which details China's espionage against the United States over the prior 2 decades. 2012, SpaceX Dragon 1 becomes the first commercial spacecraft to successfully rendezvous with the International Space Station. Movies released on May 25th, 1979, Alien. Ridley Scott directed film that follows the crew of a space vessel as they are terrorized by a killer alien. It is the first in the Alien franchise. It was followed by Aliens in 1986. They waited a while to get the next one out. This was one of the first mainstream movies about aliens where they weren't the typical spaceship, you know, that was a flying saucer and they came out and they communicated with people. These were killer aliens. Now, there were some B movies that did this prior to that. This was the first mainstream movie. Born on May 25th, 1970, Jamie Kennedy, comedic performer known for his roles in Scream, Malibu's Most Wanted. He created and starred in his own prank show. This is long before YouTube pranked people. The Jamie Kennedy Experience, which aired on the WB from 2002 to 2004. In 2017, he had a small guest role on the show Lucifer. That Jamie Kennedy Experience was hysterical. They do like 3 or 4 different pranks on each show. You know, 2 of them would suck and then 2 were just genius. He moved to Hollywood after graduating from high school and worked at the Red Lobster and as an extra in several movies. He created a faux screen agent named Marty Powers early in his career to promote himself when no real agents would sign him. Yeah, so he would call places and act like he was Jamie Kennedy's agent. He was in the Dead Poets Society in 1989. I did not know that. He dated Jennifer Love Hewitt from 2009 to 2010. I don't think you can watch Jamie Kennedy Experience anywhere but small clips on YouTube. If you do cheerleader funeral, Jamie Kennedy Experience, type that in. It is hysterical. Died on May 25th, 2007, we lost Charles Nelson Reilly, American actor, comedian, and director. He just always played the creepiest weird dudes in everything he was in. He was in that television show Car 54, Where Are You?, The Patty Duke Show, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, It Takes Two, Here's Lucy, Lidsville, which I loved him in, The $10,000 Pyramid. He was in all kinds of game shows, The Password Plus, Match Game, and Hollywood Squares, Body Language, Sweethearts. He was also in X-Files, and he played Dirty Bubble on SpongeBob SquarePants. Very strange and interesting gentleman. Reilly spent his later years primarily touring the U.S. directing theater and opera and offering audiences a glimpse into his background and personal life with his critically acclaimed one-man play chronicling his life. It was called Save It for the Stage, The Life of Reilly. In 2004, his final 2 performances of the play were in North Hollywood and were recorded as the basis of an autobiographical independent film called The Life of Reilly. Reilly was stricken with respiratory problems while filming The Life of Reilly, and he retired from directing and performing immediately after the final day of shooting in 2004. The movie premiered in 2006 at the South by Southwest Film Festival. He was supposed to attend the premiere of it, but he had to cancel because he was sick, and then a few days later he was hospitalized. Reilly died of complications from pneumonia at UCLA Medical Center on May 25th, 2007. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.